When you die, what happens to your soul? Does it go somewhere like heaven or hell? Does it stay here on earth trapped in a dimensional repetitive reality? Nobody knows. Well, almost nobody. In Brandoa's cemetery, which is in Lisbon, Amadora, there is a small group of ghosts who call that place their home. These are cursed souls. Mario Suarez used to be a mechanic who made a good living by ripping people off. For example, a person would go to his garage to get a water pump changed. And he would fix it all right. But also made sure he would sabotage something in the brakes or the engine. That way the customer would have to come back surprised out of his mind. Yes, Mario Suarez was a dirty rat with no feelings. He would even rip off an old lady who had a small electric car. More like a tricycle. All of a sudden, that small car had a catastrophic engine failure. Go figure out why. That sweet old lady received a small pension of €150 a month, and had saved €2,000 for an emergency. But she needed her car so that she could visit the hospital almost every day. She was a high-risk diabetic. She spent all of her savings, €2,000 fixing that car. She left the shop crying in desperation and sadness. All that time, collecting little by little a portion of her pension into a coffee can. It may not seem like much money, but it took her years to collect. And now, it's all gone. Mario Suarez had a big smile on his face, while watching the old lady leaving his garage, thinking to himself, "So long, sucker." By the way, the old lady's name was Maria, so Maria left the mechanic's garage and headed home on her tricycle. That small vehicle could only fit her, and absolutely nothing else. She pressed the accelerator pedal and on she went. Little did she know that Mario Suarez had sabotaged her brakes in the hope that she would come back to his garage. Without knowing, he turned loose the brakes just a little too much. Never in a million years, he thought that Maria would drive very fast. So it would be safe and very profitable. Ha ha ha. He laughed. Maria was a sweet old lady, but she liked feeling the wind on her face, had a heavy foot as they say. She was going fast and shouting at the wind, "Yahoo!" she said. When a turn came, Maria could not brake and she crashed into a football stadium and therefore, died. Antonio Costa was a politician who spent his life stealing money from tax-paying citizens. He was a master of manipulation, and could convince anyone to go along with his projects or ideas. He had an offshore account, filled with millions of dollars. He would even steal from kids if he had a chance. And that's exactly what he did one day. Mickey and Hugo, two kids from Amadora, decided to make a lemonade stand, and sell cups of lemonade at €1 a cup. The business was going well, and in just one day, they managed to make €100. With a sniffing snout, that bastard Antonio Costa always had a skill for smelling money. He went close to Hugo and Mickey, congratulating them for their business skills, and told them he had a proposal for them. "Go home and make more lemonade," he said. "I will call all my politician friends to come here and buy a cup of your delicious lemonade." In fact, he said he would call the whole Republic Assembly. That freaking rat's nest. The kids smiled and went home to make more lemonade, thinking highly of themselves for making such good deals. When the coast was clear, Antonio Costa grabbed all the money and ran away, laughing out loud. As he went running down the street, he thought to himself while looking at the money, "That's a lap dance right there." Later that evening he went to a strip joint and spent all €100 on a lap dance with pretty Jennifer. At home, Mickey and Hugo cried and cried for hours without it. It was sad. Not only they had lost all of their money, but also their pride. Those two young kids were scarred for life. Never to be the same again. The last character of this story is Billy Ramirez, a drug lord from Amadora. He sold drugs to anyone he could, regardless of age or social rank. There were no limits to his ambition, and everyone who didn't pay him his money would disappear into oblivion. He was pure evil. One day, he received a visit from young Mickey and Hugo, who were heartbroken from what had happened to them. They had decided to buy some coke from Ramirez, to feel a little better about themselves, and forget the past. Ramirez gave them fentanyl instead of coke, to save money, which was more powerful and way cheaper. The kids took their drugs home, and consumed them while listening to Professor Jammy, a famous pop star in Portugal. The next day Mickey and Hugo were found dead. They had overdosed on fentanyl and became corpses. Antonio Costa, Mario Suarez, and Billy Ramirez were friends of course, and went celebrating at their favorite strip club, Golden Boobs. They had a blast, They even smoked cannabis out of 20 euro bills, just because they could. Suddenly, a man dressed in black, with a hoodie, and also a mask, came in, blazing an M15 and killed everybody in that strip club, except for the beautiful Jennifer. He didn't want to be cancelled, of course. It was the Grim Reaper making a house call. He had enough of that shit. So he took vengeance in the name of those poor victims. Maria, Mickey, and Hugo. The souls of those three monsters were doomed to stay forever in Brandoa's cemetery, cleaning after the decay of corpses and being bullied by the Grim Reaper, who had his way with them. Forever and ever. And ever.